What's going on, everybody? Drew Jones here with the Veterans Veteran Podcast. I'm your host. This will be episode 002, first ever episode with an actual guest. If you're new here, the podcast is all about continuing the mission after military service. We bring on veterans, healthcare professionals, business owners, first responders, experts from all walks of life who are making a difference within the veteran community. Our goal is very simple: educate, inspire, connect veterans with resources that can improve their lives. Today's guest has a unique background that spans nursing, medical sales, and the medical cannabis industry. More importantly, she's developed a true passion to help veterans and better understand their health and empowering them through education rather than simply treating the symptoms. If you're a veteran, you know about treating the symptoms. It's going to be an informative conversation, so let's jump right into it. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Rachel Wooten, and I am a former nurse and medical device rep, and I also worked for a little while at the Pink Berets. And so when I took that journey, I really started learning one-on-one what vets are going through, not just there, but also in my nursing background and medical device sales, because I did a lot of clinical work, and I worked in a bunch of different ORs and with doctors and, of course, veterans. We saw a lot of veteran patients. But I now work for Sweet Life Canna Company, and it is a cultivation on the Gulf Coast, and our CEO actually has a pretty cool story. So if you are interested in reading that, go to our website. She's actually a breast cancer survivor ×2, and has a story behind her medical cannabis journey with that. So it's pretty cool. You know, what I do now is completely different than what I did in the past as a nurse and a medical device rep. But in that nursing journey and medical device, I met many patients that were already on the cannabis medical path or a natural health path, or trying to find out, how do I get there, or how do I find the root cause? But I will say what really led me into natural health, of course, with it being what I learned from doctors I'd worked with about cannabis, but also a doctor that I worked with, and I learned about insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, which I would say, I mean, there's studies out there, but a lot of us have it. You know, there's studies that say 70% of us have it. There's studies that say 80% of us have it. You know, different studies everywhere have different, findings. But there's telltale signs when it comes to insulin resistance, and you can, once you start learning about it and you go down that and you do your own research, you'll be able to look at somebody and tell if they are insulin resistant just by different signs that they have, whether it's skin tags or whether it's a hump in the back of their neck, or there's just different indicators. But I myself did not realize that I was insulin resistant. And, you know, as a nurse, we're taught to, treat and prescribe, and, we don't prescribe, but the doctors do. And we help them, with decisions and things like that, and working one-on-one. And then as a medical device rep, we were taught to educate on devices and, getting the implant done, and then the follow-up that we would meet with patients every 2 weeks sometimes to adjust their device. So that's a little bit about my history. I've done a little bit of everything. I'm also in culinary school. I'm in holistic nutrition and wellness culinary school right now. I graduate in February. And my goal with that is, number one, my kids is the reason why I did that, because I've learned in my natural health journey, not just in the canna world, but it starts with our food. It starts with the ingredients that's in the food. It starts with what you're consuming. It starts with all that. And you have to pay attention to ingredients in your food, just like you have to pay attention to how your cannabis is grown, or how it's grown, or, how it's cultivated. So there's so many different things that if you're consuming that you've got to pay attention to when it comes to natural health or healing naturally. So
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody. I've recently lost 49 pounds. I tell everybody, they always want to know, is it a bunch of cardio? Is it a bunch of what supplements are you taking? Everybody wants the easy way out. I said, man, it's all about the diet, and not even the diet, but what you're eating.
Right.
What's within that diet.
Yeah.
You got to cut out. You can't. A lot of people, I'm dieting, and then you ask them about it. Well, I'm just cutting out a few things.
Right.
And I said, man, like you said, it don't matter. It's not strictly the calories. It's the what them calories are.
Yeah. And when I was working in medical device, I think even pain management. So when I was a nurse, I worked in pain management. And one of the docs that I worked with, he was very good. He's a very good man, and he was always interventional based. He was not pushing opioids. It was always, let's try to figure it out the right way. So whether it was, hey, maybe you need to adjust your diet, maybe you need to take a look at your mental health, like he would go down those routes first before it was, let's try an opioid. So that opened my eyes too, because I met a lot of doctors when I worked at medical device, because I was still working in pain, going down to different pain docs and facilities that were more medication-based versus interventional. And they did do interventional treatments. But yeah, so also when I was working as a nurse in pain management, and then when I was doing medical device sales, the number one thing that I saw with pain patients was mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD. I mean, they all had a story to tell. And I think a lot of pain is wrapped up into your mental health. And that's when I kind of, I guess, woke up to another thing that woke me up to natural health, because when I did medical device sales, I would have to meet with a lot of patients one-on-one to adjust their stimulator. That's what I did with spinal cord stimulators. So we would implant the device into the spinal cord and into the epidural space. And depending on which, I work for 2 different companies, but basically the frequency is what would affect the pain receptors and block pain, or make your mind blind to what you're feeling, like a TENS unit sensation, or you don't feel the pain at all. So there's a bunch of different devices out there. They do all different things. So you can look into that on your own. But anyways, a lot of times when I was meeting with those patients one-on-one, the doctor was not with me. We would meet in the clinic, we would meet in the hospital, and so they would tell me things sometimes that they wouldn't tell their doctor. And that was a heavy burden to carry a lot, because I would consider myself an empath, those of you that know what that is, and I feel what you feel. And when I have somebody sitting there telling me, all these mental hardships that they're going through along with their pain, and all I'm there to do is adjust their stimulator, and whether it works or not, I felt like I was leaving them with no help, But also working in the medical device industry, I did a lot of cases in Arkansas. Well, Arkansas at the time had already went medicinal with cannabis. So a lot of my patients that I started meeting with from the beginning till towards the end were going to get their medical cards. And they would tell me, that they sleep better and things like that, which, you can do your own research. I am not a medical provider. I am just, have done my own research and listened to patients, but I always suggest to people, when it comes to anything medically related or even holistic, always speak with your provider first when it comes to anything, natural or holistic. And, if you get to meet with somebody and they don't, may not agree with you, there's people out there. I mean, there's so many different resources that you can go to. Social media. I know everything's wrapped up in social media, but there's so many different resources on social media and people that are not scared to help you. So, and ask a friend. And that's one way that I've learned my natural health journey. A lot of it's been from just random friends and people that I've met that have told me things that I had no idea about. And then I did my own research about it.
You never stop learning.
Yeah.
And like you said, social media is what it is, but literally today on my way here to the podcast, a guy called me from New York. He said, "Hey man, saw your number on TikTok. Had some questions about my VA stuff."
Yeah,
and
cool.
I said, "Sir, I'm heading to a podcast. Text me your name so I have your number locked in, and I'll call you when I get done." So
yeah.
You never know when it comes to social media who you're going to connect with, the next connection, or what you're going to learn, or it's crazy that the world nowadays does kind of revolve around it, whether you love it or hate it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll say, one thing that kind of really made me hone in on veterans is I've always just had a deep love for them. I struggle a lot with mental health, and I always have my entire life, but I always put myself in somebody else's shoes. And when I always put myself in a vet's shoes, my mindset's completely different, because I cannot imagine, for instance, Vietnam vets. You're sitting at home and your birth date pops up on the TV, and you've got to get your mindset ready that you're going to war, and you're 18 years old or younger or however old, and
Not just joining the military, but going to war.
Yeah, you're going to war. And I don't think people truly understand what mentally that's like, or the fear of what's going to happen to me or what's going to happen to my friends, and then you have to go over there and experience, even Iraq vets. I mean, any vet or whatever war that they've been in, you've got to go over there and you have a mission, and then you have to come back home and live a normal life. Mm-hmm. But then also that normal life, are you going to be taken care of for the sacrifices that you made over there? That's where I really step in, because it really bothers me when I was working in the medical field that the care that vets get and the process of getting what they need is very, very slow, or it never happens. Yep. Or they go to their provider and say they're going, when I was working for the Pink Berets, that really opened my eyes. I lived that job for a short time, but I think God placed me there for a reason, because it gave me firsthand experience on the mental health industry and the care when it comes to vets, because I know that the lowest funded department is mental health. And that's not okay, because mental health ties into so much more besides just your state of mind or your well-being. It ties into your whole health.
If your mental health's not good, it doesn't matter how your physical health is.
No, and there's a book that we'll link into the podcast that is about your conscious mind and how to think and being positive. And basically it tells you your mind can make you sick. So if your mind's so messed up that your body feeds off that to where you start getting sick, Mm-hmm. And so I just feel like that is the number one core when it comes to getting healthy is, what is your state of mind? Like, do you have anxiety? Do you have PTSD? Do you have depression? Do you have suicidal thoughts? Because we need to address that first, and then we need to work our way down to healing you naturally. Because if you can't heal your mind first, or you can't get the sleep you need, then we've got to do that before we move on.
People definitely don't realize the impact of sleep or lack thereof, or like me and you spoke of previously. Before I realized I had sleep apnea, I was getting the hours of sleep that you would say somebody needed, sometimes even more. But the fact that I wasn't reaching that REM sleep, because I didn't know I had sleep apnea, and then I didn't know I had like the early onset or a light case of restless leg syndrome. It didn't matter how long I was technically in the bed, because my brain wasn't getting shut off. So
yeah, and then another thing with that too is that was one thing that woke me up to vets and their health was when I worked in pain management and I worked in medical device sales. We would put patients under, for the procedure. Mm-hmm. The vets that would be put under, and they already knew. I mean, they would come in there to pre-op and they would tell me, look, when y'all put me to sleep, I'm going to probably wake up or be in a dream that it's not going to be good. If I swing or I'm kicking or whatever, I want you to know I'm sorry, but I can't help it. And I was like, I remember the first time,
it freaked you out a little bit.
It freaked me out. Like, I was like, are you sure about that? Like, and sure enough, he had the procedure done. He was still asleep. And we brought him into post-op, and he woke up and he fully was in a full-blown dream panic state that he was back in Iraq. His boots were on fire and his buddy was beside him getting hurt. And I was just like,
scared you?
Yeah, it did. And it made me realize there's a million or 1,000 other vets out there that are going through this, and it's not okay. And if they're doing it here, they're doing it at home.
And the problem is most of them are self-medicating.
Yeah. And so then this was on my next experience was when I was about to leave medical device, when I was really waking up to natural health. I was doing a case at the hospital, and before the case, I have to meet with the patients and educate them on the device and what we're going to do today. And that was always my favorite part, because that's when I got to really talk to them and learn all about them. And so this particular day that I was meeting with the patient, I had two of them. They were both veterans. and they were both Vietnam vets, my favorite. Yep. And so the first man, he was reading a book, and it's actually, I think it's called The Beer Run. It's the movie with Zac Efron where, yeah. So he was reading that book, and I was like, oh, tell me about that book. And he was like, it's a Vietnam era war book, and he told me the story behind it. And I was like, that's so cool. Well, the vet beside him sling back the curtain, and he was, because we were talking about all kinds of Vietnam stuff. And he was like, have y'all ever really just listened to the lyrics of The Yellow Submarine by the Beatles? And I was like, no. And he was like, that's what's really cool about Vietnam. And I was like, I didn't
I'm gonna
gather.
have to check that out.
Yeah, I didn't gather what he was, really talking about. But that day particular, like, I just enjoyed so much talking to them because they're just funny. Like they, even though everything they've been through, they were so positive and they were funny. But anyways, that one particular man told me that he was a helicopter combat vet when he was in Vietnam, the one that was reading the book. And so we were going in to do the procedure. They put him under, and me and the CRNA were working one-on-one. We were beside each other because where I had to stand that day, all the OR equipment was in the way. And anyways, we put him under, and I mean, not 15 minutes in the procedure. I mean, we had just literally started. I mean, we hadn't even really got into it. He started having a dream. And he was crying, he was screaming, he was saying the helicopter was going down and everything. The one thing he kept saying over and over again was, save the children, save the children. And I remember me and that CRNA looked at each other, and we were shook, And so basically we had to reverse the propofol, wake him up, and we had to continue the rest of the procedure by just local anesthesia. And he cried. When I tell you he cried the entire procedure, not because of the pain, not because of the memories. It was the memories. Yeah. And I remember we walked out of the OR, and I had my back against the wall, and the CRNA walked out, and she had her back against the wall, and we both looked at each other, and we just started bawling because I just cannot imagine. I know, just like and just like me know, or I know, that when you have a nightmare, I don't care what kind of nightmare it is. I don't care if it's about your kids. I don't care if it's about your spouse cheating on you, or a war, or whatever it is. There's certain nightmares that you have that next day, or when you wake up, it's hard to even get out of the bed.
It's going to affect you.
Yeah, it's hard to even have a normal life. And so I think that's one part of that we don't pay enough attention to when it comes to vets is there's what they go through in their sleep, or are they sleeping enough? And there's a study, not a study, but there's an article that I would like for you to share in this podcast about cannabis and your REM sleep. And that the article actually says that it can reduce that REM or lucid dream cycle by 30 to 50%. So from what it's saying that I've gathered is that you don't have those lucid dreams, if you're using cannabis. Now, when speaking to this, I would always suggest, speaking with a medical provider, but also don't be scared to reach out to vets that that may have their medical card, and talk with them about how it works for them. Because I will tell you, even in the town that we live in, the dispensaries, there are vets that work in there. One in particular, Herbal Alchemy has some vets that work in there, and they're really good guys. So, if you have any questions to that, I would always suggest reaching out to somebody that has their medical card and discussing it with them, or a medical provider when it comes to that. Because you can't really, everybody's different. It works different on everybody, but that's just an article that I came across that I thought was pretty interesting when I was reading about it. Yeah,
just like she said, any type of medication, even if you were to switch kind of in an extreme way in a diet, I would always recommend talking to your medical provider. Especially if you have a good relationship with them, just tell them, hey, I'm interested in maybe going the cannabis route and trying to get off some of this typical medication. Because I know, like me and you previously talked about, when I first got involved with the VA, I was taking up to 8 pills a day just for mental health. Morning, afternoon, nighttime doses.
Yeah.
3 in the morning, 2 at lunch, 3 at night before bed. The nighttime bed, were anxiety / sleep medicine to help me relax and fall asleep. And then now I just take my 3 in the morning, and I'm good to go. And
And
and you never know. Somebody else may take. They may have to take them 8.
Yeah.
Or they may only take 1. Or they can switch to the cannabis route and maybe be off all of them.
Yeah. And I'll say that. So in my natural health journey, I will say there's not a one-all cure-all. I'm not saying I don't believe that cannabis is a one-all cure-all. I think that if you ask me, God put everything on this earth for us to use. And there's tools out there specifically. I'm going to go back to what I was talking about, insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, which I think is the core to chronic disease. So when a lot of people ask me, Rachel, what can I do to help with chronic disease? And the first thing I suggest is, ask them, what are you eating? How much sugar are you eating? How much carbs are you eating? Are you doing any intermittent fasting? And so my story behind that is after my 3rd child, I've always been athletic. I played softball, JUCO softball. I grew up an athlete. And I've been very disciplined when it comes to losing weight and knowing the right way to do it or getting what I thought was healthy. And so after my 3rd child, I intermittent fast. I had not been eating sugar because I'll tell you, my mom had a stroke in 2021 and she lost her speech. And so thank God the neurologist that we saw told her, hey, you need to quit eating sugar because it's bad for your brain. So we went sugar free. Well, at the time, I was not reading labels. I just saw if it was sugar free, I was going to eat it. Mm-hmm. But I was eating like maybe 20 carbs or less. I was basically keto. Mm-hmm. And I got down to 135. I was working out. I was healthy, I thought, at 135.
You thought you were killing it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in good shape, And so then when I got pregnant with my 3rd, I continued being sugar-free and keto, but I developed gestational diabetes with her, which I had with my 1st, but I was very surprised this go around that I developed that, but
because you thought you were so healthy.
Yeah,
and I was
carbs or no sugar, And so, anyways, after I had her, I just immediately thought I'm gonna be fine. I'll bounce back. I was keto the whole time. I hadn't ate any carbs. The weight should just slide right off because it did with my 1st, and when it didn't, I was shocked. And then I went to the doctor and I was having some issues and I was in a heart monitor. And then I learned that my lipid panel was abnormal and they wanted to put me on a statin. And I was like, absolutely not. I'll figure this out. So I quit eating red meat, watched my fat intake.
I like steak too much.
I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to be doing and nothing was working. I wasn't losing no weight. I was basically starving. I was fast. I was doing everything. And so I was like, there's got to be an answer. So I remember I'm a very spiritual person. I told Drew yesterday I'm woo-woo. So that...
I thought she had said she's poo-poo.
Yeah, I'm woo-woo. So I'm very spiritual. I believe in the universe and God and that it all works mysteriously. And there's a reason why me and Drew are here today. And anyways, I was sitting on my front porch and I was talking to God, I was talking to myself, and I was like, what in the freak do I do? Like, I need an answer. And my phone rang, and the woo-woo in me was like, okay, is that it? And so I answer it, and it's Derek, a guy that I worked in medical device sales. And I was on maternity leave, and he was still working, and he was like, Rachel, you're not going to believe what I just did and how it worked. And I was like, what? And he was like, well, I've had cholesterol problems my entire life. He's 56. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and it's really, really weird that you're calling me right now because this is the spiritual thing. Like, why did he call me when I'm sitting here crying about my cholesterol? And I said, because the cardiologist wants to put me on a statin. And he was like, well, listen to this story. He was like, one of the doctors that we did implants with in Jonesboro got him on this product that's all natural. All it is green tea and fiber. And it's not just one type of fiber. It's 7 different sources of fiber. And so basically, the doctor we worked with told him, like, look, if you don't believe me, that's fine. Just do this for me. Buy it. Do it for 30 days the right way, and then go have lab work done, and then call me and let me know what happens. So Derek did it the right way. Went and had lab work done. He had a normal lipid panel. So that day he called me. I was like, it's really weird you're calling me about this, but I need I got to have something. He's like, well, you need to try it. Well, I'm a procrastinator. I have ADHD. And so it's either I get sidetracked or it's hard for me to like get motivated to do something. You know what I mean? Especially when comes to hitting purchase on something that is a little expensive.
There's so many supplements out there. There's, you name it, it's there.
Yeah.
Times 100 minimum.
Different kinds, yeah.
Vitamins, supplements, the newest drink, the newest injection, peptides.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, and it starts with what you're eating. And all this is, so I did it. And I'm one of these people that if I'm going to pay the money for it, I'm going to do it the right way. And I'm also a researcher, and I'm an answer seeker, and I'm a truth seeker. So I want to know if it works or not. And so I'm going to do it the right way. And so I did it. 30 days later, I went and had lab work done, and I had a normal lipid panel. And I was down 15 pounds. And I was like, all right.
Something's going on
Something's going on. Well, so then me and Derek were talking about it. And I mean, we made a lot of money in medical device. He made a lot more money than me. I made the best money I've ever made in my entire life. I thought that was it. I was going to do that forever, and I was just going to live this gravy life. And so Derek was like, you know what? I'm going to put my dad on it. He's a guinea pig, and then you're going to put your mom on it. And I was like, all right. So his dad's a type 2 diabetic of 20 plus years. My mom had a stroke. After her stroke, she quit drinking, quit smoking, started walking. I mean, went keto. I mean, was the most compliant patient you could ask for when it comes to getting a patient to listen to you and do the right thing. So, I mean, she did it, but she was still having to get put on blood pressure medicine. I mean, her blood pressure was still out of control, cholesterol out of control. And I was like, something is not right here. How do you have somebody walking 3 miles a day at 62 years old, not eating sugar, not eating carbs, drinking water? I mean, being as compliant as you can, and we're not
having those type of issues.
And they're still giving her medicine, and each medicine is, we've got to give you this one because the side effect of this one.
That
yeah, and I'm like, this is not normal. And so Derek's dad was on 2 different types of diabetic medication, insulin, whatever, you name it. And so he put his dad on it. I put my mom on it, and we both sat him down. I was like, look, you've got to do this the right way. You're not going to half-ass it. You're going to do it the right way. You're going to take this one. You drink this one in the morning, this one in the afternoon, and this one before your biggest meal. I told my mom the same thing. So mom started documenting her blood pressure every day, and I'll never forget. It was right into the 3rd month, because there's one thing that people have to understand. When you're trying to heal naturally, we've been programmed for a quick fix when it comes to anything, whether it's the internet, getting a quick answer, whether it's a medication, a quick injection, or whatever it is, we've been programmed to believe everything has to happen quick and instant. But when it comes to healing naturally, it comes down to discipline, it comes down to patience, and it comes down to just doing it the right way and being consistent with it. And so it was 3 months into it, and she calls me and she's like, I think it's working. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, I've just been really, really dizzy today, and I checked my blood pressure this morning. It was like 90/46. And I was like, do not take your blood pressure medicine this afternoon. It's something. So we really started honing in that day. And that's when we started to go in to see her primary care. And her primary care is in Senatobia, and she's great. And we told her about this protocol, because the biggest thing that I love about it is it's in the physician's desk reference. So you can speak with your provider about it, and a PDR, every physician or nurse practitioner should have access to the PDR. So that's what I love about it. So we were able to talk with her about it, tell her about the clinical studies done by the Cleveland Clinic. I mean, it's got everything there. And she worked one-on-one with us to where my mom is not on any blood pressure medicine anymore. She's not on her cholesterol medicine anymore. She takes a blood thinner, which hopefully soon we will not have to do that anymore, because I have my thoughts on blood thinners. I have my research that I've done, and she's in completely different health than she was when she had the stroke. When she had the stroke, she was insulin resistant, she was eating carbs, she was eating sugar, and there's so many other different factors that were playing a part in that stroke versus how she's metabolically healthy now. So I tell people, when it comes to getting healthy naturally, if you are not metabolically healthy, if your cells are not metabolically healthy, you can take all the supplements in the world. But if your cells cannot absorb or work with those natural remedies because they're already sick, what are we doing? We're just taking, I was like that. I had my kids call it the witch cabinet. It's full of all these different supplements.
I do as well.
Herbs.
I'm big on the vitamins and the supplements.
Yeah. But if you can, and I'm not saying they don't work, because there's a bunch of different vitamins and supplements that I make, or that I do. There's some that I do make, and there's some that I buy that all work hand in hand. But if you don't do them consistently, if you take one every now and, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be consistent with it. And this protocol works the exact same way. But I encourage people on here that if you are on a natural health journey, to really hone in to insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, because that is, studies show, and you can look it up on your own, but there is a link between it and major chronic diseases.
No doubt.
And if you can reverse or treat that insulin resistance, you can help heal yourself naturally. I'm a walking billboard of it. I did it. And my mom is a walking testimony. Derek's dad is a walking testimony. I have a lady that was in stage 4 kidney disease, and a month later into the protocol, she has lab work done and she's gone back to stage 2. So, I mean, I just encourage people that if you want to start that journey, you can reach out to me on here. I have the product. I can educate you about it, but also, you know this too, Drew, when you buy supplements off Amazon, you have to read the fine print, because there's so many people that are making fake supplements.
And Amazon may be more convenient and maybe a little bit cheaper, but you don't know 100% for certain if that is the actual supplement you're buying. So sometimes it's depending on what it is, of course, but it may be a little worth a couple extra dollars to buy it from the website itself.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people, that it's on Amazon, but I don't know where the freak it's coming from, you know, like,
I don't know if that's the real stuff or if somebody's just labeling their stuff to sell it.
And, you know, ordering it through somebody, you have a coach behind them. So, like, when I first started the protocol, I wasn't doing it right. I thought I was, because I'm one of these people that, I hate to say it, I've gotten a lot better. I don't read instructions. I just go buy a picture off the box, and there I am with 5 extra screws, and is it going to work, you know? So I just wing everything. So when I first did it, I thought I was doing it right. Well, come to find out I wasn't, and it took a metabolic health coach that was a part of this team that I work with to educate me on the right way to do it, and I've learned to do that. And so the beauty behind talking with somebody that knows about it or promotes it, you kind of get that coaching with it, you know, of
that one-on-one coaching service.
Yeah, and specifically too I had a guy call me the other day that's been doing it for a long time, and he's doing great, you know, but he was saying that he wasn't having much energy, and he's still on his CPAP machine and things like that. And I was like, well, what did you eat today? And he was like, well,
a burger.
I went by Red Robin and got a burger and some fries, and
the gas station.
Then I had to go by Zaxby's, you know, for dinner, because I feel he works out of town, and I get it, because I was traveling all the time to where, when I was doing keto, I'd drive through Wendy's and take the bread off and eat the meat, you know?
Where's all my policemen at and all the fast food we eat? When you don't even want to get out of the car, so you're literally eating in the car, not even walking, just drive. Hey, it's easier to go through a drive-through. I don't want to get out. I don't want to talk to nobody. I want to eat at least just a few minutes by myself. So the easiest thing to do as a policeman is just sit there and eat in your car.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? You're gonna go through a drive-through.
From policemen, firefighters that have to cook at the firehouse, and there's 3 things that are the perfect storm for chronic disease: refined seed oils, refined sugar, and refined carbohydrates. If you can start anywhere in your natural health journey, and I've learned this through my culinary school too, it starts with ingredients, it starts with fasting, and it starts with your mental health that we've been talking about. I mean, there's so many different factors that go hand in hand versus I'm just going to take all these supplements, you know, or I'm just going to take these peptides, or there's so many different things, but you have to hone into what was put on this earth by God to help us heal. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is ourselves. We are this, we have to meet him halfway.
People don't understand what the body can, depending on what it is, of course, can pretty much heal itself if done the right way. Yeah. Like you said, fasting, I've done a deep dive research. Just a 3-day water fast, you'd be amazed at what the body can do.
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me about fasting, and I tell people you can fast too much, you cannot fast enough. There's a fine line there, but also I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm going to fast today and I'm not going to eat all day and I've never done it before. And you're going to, you know what? You're going to
be miserable.
You're going to fail. And that's me too. Like I've done that. So I tell everybody, when you're starting your natural health journey, or you're starting to cut ingredients, or you're trying to buy cleaner products, start with baby steps, one thing at a time. Because you know what's next? If you jump into it, your mental health is going to get screwed the F up. Because I've been there. Like when I fully woke up to the medical industry and trying to heal naturally, I was going down so many different rabbit holes to where like I almost went into full-blown psychosis, because I was like, I couldn't, it freaked me out. But then I had a friend tell me, look, you're doing the best you can, and the best you can do is every day just make one change. And that's what I did. And then 2 years later, here I am. I've learned to cook clean. I'm doing better with mental health. I'm trying to help people with mental health. And, it starts with, Drew, I mean, like, how many connections have you made just by friends? Like, just people you've met?
And it's like me and you literally just said yesterday, it's man, when you're on the right path that the Lord has for you, like I believe this journey is for me, it's unbelievable, the people that are put in your way that normally you would have never met.
Yeah.
Me and you, for example.
Yeah.
We never knew who each other was until, recently through social media.
Yeah.
And then now here we are.
Yeah.
But man, in life, man, probably obviously completely lost count, but just in the last 6 months since I got my LLC in January 1st, I mean, the connections I've made, the networking that I've built and is steadily building, man, I have people reach out all the time, whether it's veterans that are, hey, man, you really motivated me to start my journey, or literally within the last couple of weeks, I've had 3 people reach out to me, 2 that I knew from high school, saying, man, I've always wanted to start my own little side business, or always wanted to do this. I want to do that, but I was scared I was going to fail.
Tell them to do it.
I've been watching you for the last 6 months, dude. You're super motivated me. One guy already got his LLC. Another one said, dude, I'm about to spend about $3,500 on lawn mowing equipment because I've always wanted a side landscaping business, something to fall back on and maybe grow and give my kids. And even had a girl that's a stranger. She reached out to me the other day. She just, hey, I love what you're doing. It's so motivational. You've motivated me to start even doing some stuff in my life to get ready. I don't even know this person. So
yeah, you
never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to reach, and who you're going to learn from.
Yeah. And that's kind of like with my health journey. I have met the amount of people that I've gotten support from, more support are complete strangers.
Yes. I hate to say that.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think anybody that owns a business or anybody that's trying to better themselves knows deep down that a lot of their support came from strangers.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest push. And one of them is a veteran. So I'd like to give him a shout out on here. He's from Florida. And when I started my natural health journey, I really got into mushrooms like lion's mane and reishi mushrooms and turkey tail and all the, because I mean, if you really dive into mushrooms and their healing power, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And they're really good for you. But there's a vet and he owns a company, and I'll share it in the link too. Mycomedics, he's a combat vet that used mushrooms to help heal himself. And so he's got a pretty cool story, and he's got different mushroom supplements and mushroom coffee. And a lot of people ask me about the mushroom coffee, and I've
seen that getting popular lately.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, a lot of it tastes like dirt. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. If you want the real thing, it's going to taste like a ground up mushroom. But I have learned, this is another way I want to encourage people when you're starting your natural health journey, when it comes to eating right, changing ingredients, fasting, whatever. You have to make it fun, because if you don't make it fun, you're going to fail. Because I can't tell you how many diets in the past.
I'd love to hit on that.
Yeah, like that I've started, and I was like, man, I can't go here and eat what they're eating. Like, I've got to eat this freaking salad, you know? And you see all your friends eating all this stuff, and you're like, you get depressed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
real. You go to
real.
Mexican with your buddies, and you're like, can't have no chips and dip.
No.
You're about to order something maybe just chicken and rice.
Yes, it gets
and
depressing.
And they're getting nachos and burritos and margaritas.
Yes, and so again, mental health plays a part in everything. So when I started this natural health journey, I was like, I'm about to make this fun. Like, I want my food to taste good, because I'm a foodie. I go to the local restaurants. I don't want to go to a chain restaurant. I want to get the appetizer, I want to get the main dish, and I want to get the dessert, and I want to try everything you got, and you try everything. I want to try it all, because it's fun. Food makes us happy, and it's an addiction too, just like anything else is addiction. And I believe we are all addicted to it, and that's fine because it does make us feel good. But anyways, when I started my natural health journey of healing when I learned that there are ingredients that you do not need to consume and there are ingredients that you do need to consume, I really started getting fancy with it and having fun with it. And so I've learned to bake gluten-free. I've learned to bake sugar-free. I've learned to cook with no seed oils. I've learned to cook with not use any refined carbohydrates. I really dove deep into it because I knew that it also starts with my kids, because when I worked at the school and I saw what our kids are eating every day, and I added up 60 grams of sugar in the morning before they ever walk into the classroom, that's another eye-opener, because if you want the secret to healing, it starts with your insulin and your glucose levels. That is the key. Mm-hmm. If you can control that, you can heal yourself, and it starts with what you eat. And I know we just talked about fasting. There's a schedule I follow. So I tell people that ask me about fasting, like I said, don't just dive into a 24-hour fast.
Don't just starve yourself.
No. Like, skip breakfast. That's why I tell people, skip breakfast, go as long as you can, eat lunch, okay? Next week or 2 weeks later, skip lunch. So you've skipped breakfast and lunch. You're slowly working your way into a full 24-hour fast. And eventually, when you're doing a 24-hour fast, and you're eating a lot of protein at the time that you eat, you're not hungry. Like I'm telling you, you're not hungry.
Be amazed at what your body can get used to when it comes to dieting and stuff like that. You'll go from, I do meal prep, so I got very specific meals I do, and very smaller meals, obviously. Right. So when I eat, my meal prep Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I just eat very clean. But when I do go out to eat, obviously I'm still eating very clean, but I can't eat much because I'm used to it. It's amazing. Even as a bigger guy, like 249 pounds, I can't sit there and eat a big full meal like I used to. I'm about to explode. Yeah. And they're like, man, Drew, you ain't that hungry? I said, man, when your body gets used to eating smaller meals on an everyday basis for an extended period of time, you can't just say, oh man, I'm starving today and just go eat. Or you can, that one meal, and you're going to be sick.
Yeah. And it's
crazy.
It's important too, when you fast, how you break your fast.
Very true.
What are you eating after you fast? Are you diving straight into a cheeseburger?
Yeah, or I earned this.
Yeah. Or are you feeding your gut that healthy bacteria it needs to help heal itself? Because that's ultimately what you're doing. The gut-brain axis is huge too. So healthy gut, healthy mind. Yes, I do personally believe that, but I also believe that when it comes back to mental health, that even me, I've been on this protocol for 2 years. It'll be 2 years in July. And I still struggle with mental health every day. I still struggle with intrusive thoughts and nightmares and et cetera. Nightmares in the past, I don't really have them much anymore. But like I said, it's not a one-all cure-all. We still need tools to get us through. And that's why when it comes to cannabis, it's okay if you need a crutch or a tool, because all of us are built different. All of our minds are rewired differently, and our genetics are all differently, to where, I personally cannot stand it when somebody tells me, you just need to be positive. You just need to be positive. Like,
it's all going to work out.
Yeah, everything's going to be fine.
I cannot stand that.
Yeah, or like, for instance, as a veteran, or like, and I'm sure many vets that are listening to this have been to different therapists or psychologists or whatever that have tried to train them to think a certain way to make their mental health better. Well, there's some people like me, and there's some people out there, I'm sure some vets, that I don't know what it is, but it's just hard for us to think that way with what we've been through or what they've been through. And so, like I said, there are tools out there in the natural health world that I don't want people to look on it as a crutch, but as, hey, you know what? Maybe this can help me sleep better. Maybe this can help me be positive. I don't know. That's something you want to speak with a medical provider about. But when it comes to natural remedies, regardless of what it is, I just think there's tools out there that are not talked about enough.
I know one thing, especially within the male community, your hormones.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge advocate for that because when I got home from deployment, I knew something was wrong. I was feeling real lazy, real lethargic. I was like, man, I need to start getting back in the gym. You know, I started gaining a little bit of weight. And I said, man, I'm getting out of shape. I just don't have that drive. I don't have that push to go. And then my buddy actually went and he called me and said he had pretty much the same exact symptoms. And he went to the local urologist there in Starkville and said, dude, it's embarrassing. They said, I literally have the testosterone level and the estrogen. He said the estrogen was super high and the testosterone was super low because they basically said I was a middle school cheerleader.
That's wild.
And he was a huge guy. He's even bigger than me. So then I went and sure enough, my hormones, they call it basically operator syndrome is the non-medical term. When you're in a high stress environment for a long period of time and then all of a sudden you stop. Yeah. Your body is just strained. Yeah. And it may come back to normal. It may not. But regardless, if you get on TRT or anything like that, I tell everybody, it's 30 and older, you need to get your blood work done minimum twice a year.
100%, yeah.
Minimum.
And going back to the testosterone, so Derek, the guy that I talked about when we did medical device sales, he was a former MLB player. And so he always was getting his testosterone checked. Well, him and his wife had fertility issues when they were trying to conceive. And, you know, he thought it was him because of his testosterone and things like that. And so, which eventually they were able to conceive and everything worked out. But since then, he's always had low testosterone. And I mean, he was looking up all these different supplements and routes. So when he started this protocol, it doubled his testosterone naturally. So again, you can heal naturally. And all this is green. This protocol that I follow is green tea that is full of antioxidants, chlorogenic acid, and polyphenols, which are really good for like free radicals or things in your body that may be growing that shouldn't be growing, or specifically keeping your glucose and insulin levels running normal where nothing is feeding off of all your insulin and sugar being high. You know what I mean? So it keeps everything running level, but then also the fiber. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to take fiber gummies, or I'm just, you know, or I'm going to take
this one little scoop fiber drink in the morning.
Metamucil.
Yeah.
And what they have to understand is it's not just one type of fiber. It's 7 different forms of it. And so I have a lot of people that come to me and are like, how can I get healthy naturally or help insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome without using that? And I'm like, all right, look, you got me there, but I'm going to figure it out.
Hey, you can take this, and this.
So, yeah.
Or you can just take this supplement that has all of it in there.
I looked it up. And basically, you'd have to get your own green tea leaves, brew it. Well, then when you drink it, it's going to taste like you're drinking grass unless you add something to it. And this tastes like lemonade or pomegranate, so I'm all about that. And then the fiber thing. So I got on Amazon and I ordered the 5 different types of fiber, and it's all in different powders. So basically, every night I'd have to make an overnight oat and mix all this different fiber in there and eat it, you know, when I broke my fast. And I was like, I'm a mom of 3. And we've got
time-consuming.
baseball.
It's not convenient.
Yeah, and I'm on the road. I'm going. And so if I can just dump this in some water and chug it, that's just what I'm going to do. That's just the lifestyle I live. But yeah, it's all about, and I want to give a shout out to the women veterans out there. I worked for the Pink Berets, and when I did that, I did not realize the amount of mental hardships that women vets go through that maybe the men don't go through, you know?
Absolutely.
And so I have a friend who lives here who was in Iraq, and she was telling me about what she went through over there. But what blew my mind is all the side effects and mental health and medical problems she's having from what she experienced over there that was because of what she breathed in.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
the PACT Act 2022 came out, all the toxins and stuff you're breathing in, and people don't realize that not only did you experience physical and mental stuff over there, but now it's years later, and you're having all these problems and symptoms and stuff. You don't know what caused all of it. It's because of the burn pits. The poison that was in the air. There ain't no EPA in the Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
Where I was in Syria, directly across the main road, they had their own local gasoline factory. You think they were following any kind of guidelines on how to make their gas?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're breathing all the fumes in.
Yeah.
And another thing, hitting on female veterans, just imagine any female that's out there right now listening, imagine you're in an all-male environment.
Exactly.
And there's a very, very limited, you may even be, especially when it comes to law enforcement, what if you're the one female on a shift full of men? You know, same thing in the military, but now even more to the extreme, you know, especially if you're if you get a combat MOS and you go to a line unit that's traditionally all males, whether they're the best group of males in the world or not, it's going to affect you mentally.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
100%.
You're going to be trying to perform at their level, you know, because you don't want to give them an inch to even talk bad about you.
Yeah.
You know, because I hate to say it or not, somebody there is already going to say something about a woman being there.
Yeah.
So that woman that is there, she's going to work as hard as she possibly can on an everyday basis to perform with them or outperform them.
Yeah.
Imagine how that wears you out mentally.
Oh, yeah. I
Not even physically, but imagine mentally having to put up with that. Because you know you're never going to be on the buddy. You're never going to be in the clique. You know, you're always going to be an outsider.
G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
My favorite movie. Yeah. I always wanted to be G.I. Jane, and I've always been very competitive when it comes to males and doing everything they can do, you know. And so I that's one reason why I loved when I worked for the Pink Berets, is because I was trying to represent those females that, even though I'm not a veteran, I had that veteran heart, or I had that same drive that they had. But also to that, you know, going to this natural health route, and also now working in the canna world, you know, I'm looked at differently as a female. You don't see a lot of females that work in this industry. And so especially as a mom, and it's hard because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do the right thing to help others and educate and get people the connections they need to help, because that's where we lose our veterans, is when they don't have the help.
Yep.
And it's sad because I saw it. I'll never forget, I had to go to the VA when I worked for the Pink Berets, I was up there beating on doors every day, but I had to go to the VA one day. And that particular day, I was walking in through the ER, and this man runs out and he's screaming on the phone, he's gone. And I'm just one of these people, I'll go up to anybody and ask, what's wrong? Do you need help? And he was sitting there, he hung up, and he just was sitting there with his head looking down, shaking, and everybody's just walking around, and nobody's even...
Like it's just a normal day?
Yes, like not even helping the guy. And so I went up to him and I was like, is everything okay? And I mean, I can't cuss on here, but basically he was, no, it's effing not. My brother is a veteran, and he was about to commit suicide, and they let him walk out. They just let him walk out. They don't even know where he went. Like, he's gone. So I don't know where he's at. And there's nothing I could do. You know, there's nothing I could do. And there was nothing he could do other than call 911, you know, and so I don't know. I just, working in the medical field, working with the Pink Berets, I just really opened my eyes up to, there is a lack of mental health care. There's a lack of education behind natural health remedies or tools. And we've got to be, I hope people listening to this podcast will be more open-minded and do their own research and look more into how can it help in any way, you know, in whatever way that person needs, and don't judge somebody. You know, whatever they need to make it through the day to get back home to see their kids or make it to the next family gathering, like, help them and educate them and lead them. And don't, you know, I hear that a lot from vets that try to talk with different providers about natural health remedies when it comes to mental health, and they feel like they're being judged.
Well, you know, the problem is they can't make money off of it.
Yeah.
How can they make money off you not taking their medication and going natural?
Yeah.
So, which obviously not all of them. You know, there's going to be some really good ones out there that are going to, you know, assist you, maybe give you some guidance and everything, be there if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't recommend anybody just stopping their medicine and immediately going all natural.
Exactly.
That can't be good.
No, you always,
But at the end of the day, the medical world is not going to make money off you going all natural. So, you know, there's a fine line when it comes to especially making the amount of money that's out there to be made off the medical world.
I'm telling you, when I work medical device,
you know firsthand, the money it can corrupt some people.
Yeah, and if you go, so you can look up clinical studies. Anybody can look up clinical studies. Anybody can look up new devices that are being trialed or studied. You know, and that was a huge eye opener for me when I was working in a medical device. I always like to look at that stuff, you know, because we always want to see what was the competitor coming out. You know, you always want to know what was going on.
You want to stay on top of your game.
Yeah, the amount of medical devices that I was reading that one night, and they were all cardiac, and I was just like, these people are making so much money off us being sick.
Millions.
Off of us being sick, and we're not addressing the root cause at all. And that's when I told at my last medical device job, I was not scared to just say all that. I was like, I mentally cannot do this anymore. Like, I don't feel like if I'm doing the right thing. And if I'm one of these people, I 1000% believe in karma. And if you put good into the world, good will come back to you at some point. And I could not lay my head down at night anymore because I didn't feel like I was truly helping the patients I was seeing, because I was not addressing the root cause. I was putting a Band-Aid on whatever that was going, what they were going through. So.
Well, obviously, folks, this is not medical advice. This is just opinions of people.
Right.
But I have to ask, what would you say, again, not medical advice, just her personal opinion, what would you say maybe some of the symptoms that are out there that veterans in particular, or anybody really, that you think cannabis would kind of hit on and maybe help them out?
I mean, from what I hear from others, when I'm in and out of these dispensaries, a lot of patients come in for sleep help. And I'll say this, when like I said, my life, I've went through a lot of different events. And at one point I was prescribed Ambien.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to go and tell you, anybody that's ever taken Ambien knows that you do some wild stuff on that stuff. Like you sleepwalk. There was one night I woke up and we were on a bachelorette trip. And I woke up in the middle of the night, had a full-blown conversation with everybody in the room. And then when I woke up the next morning, I had no recall. I had patients tell me when I was a nurse that they would get in their car and drive and not remember. They would get up and cook food and not remember. So, I would suggest, if you're wanting to start your medical cannabis journey, first off, speak with a provider that specializes in that. The doctor that I used to work for, Dr. Kennard, he's in Oxford. And then there's one here in Hernando, Christy Piggins, I believe is her name. So there are providers that you can just go in and just have a consultation. You don't have to get it. I feel like a lot of people think if I go in there, I'm gonna have to get this.
Or they feel obligated.
Yeah.
The information is there.
No,
it's up to you to go get it.
Yeah, just go in there and write down all your questions and ask them everything. Don't be scared to ask questions, because an unasked question will get you way less than asking a question and doing your own research. So that's my thing. But I will say, if there is one health habit that everyone should start today when it comes to getting healthy naturally, and my kids are going to laugh at me if they listen to this, is you've got to cut the sugar.
I knew it.
You've got to cut the amount of sugar you are eating, because when I tell you it's in everything, it's in everything.
Everything.
And there are plant-based sweeteners out there that I cook with every single day, and I do not miss the refined sugar. And that tastes great. And I can teach you how to do that, and I will show you how, so you can be happy when you eat your sweet treats. The second healthy habit I would tell you is cut the refined seed oil. So peanut oil, soybean oil. When I tell you that canola and all that, when they put it in everything, they even put it in baby formula. So that soybean oil, you see that in a lot of ingredients. It's in everything. And so switch to olive oil, switch to tallow, switch to coconut oil, switch to avocado oil. There's so many different options that you can use that you don't even tell a difference.
That's the only thing I use, olive oil and beef tallow.
Yeah,
it's the only thing I cook with.
And you can fry in coconut oil. So I've fried catfish in coconut oil. I've fried wild turkey in coconut oil. And depending on which kind you get, refined or unrefined, it may taste a little bit of coconut or it won't taste like it at all. So when I tell you I've gotten creative, I've gotten creative. And the third thing I would say is to cut the refined carbohydrates. It's, if you're a male, I'd stay 50 grams below. If you're a female, I'd try to stay 30 to 20 grams below. And then try intermittent fasting and walk. So I don't think people really understand how much walking helps you.
That's what I tell everybody. Yeah, and they're shocked.
I know they think it's just like, I'm just going to go walk. But I'm telling you, when you are really stressed out or you're having a mentally just jacked up day, just go for a walk by yourself and just talk. Like, just talk about to God or whoever you believe in what you got going on, and I guarantee you'll feel better when you get done. And that's just what I would suggest to start off with. If you want to start getting healthy, start with that.
That's what, and like we said this whole time, consistency is key.
I
tell everybody when it comes to the gym, when it comes to the diet, when it comes to the supplements, if you're going to use some to help with your diet and things of that nature. The hardest part of going to the gym is getting to the gym. Yeah. The hardest part of the diet is just doing it. They're like, I've shown many people my exact meal plan. Hey man, this is exactly what I'm doing. This is the main staple of how I've lost all this weight in the last several months. First thing they say is, oh man, I can't eat the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Or, oh man, what if I don't like this? Can I switch it with that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, brother, this is what I do. These are the results I've seen. If you want to try it, you can.
Yeah.
If you want to change it all up, make it your diet, that's up to you. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're not consistent with it, you're not gonna do this diet you're not gonna do this diet for 2 weeks and it's gonna change your life. This has been I was 298 pounds in November. I'm 249 pounds today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it didn't happen overnight. Especially as you get older, it's that much easier to gain it. It takes that much longer to lose it.
Yes, that's what I tell people when they're talking about insulin resistance. I was like, it took your whole life to get insulin resistant. Now you've got to take the discipline and the time to help correct that root cause problem to why you're sick.
Before we get out of here, is there anything you wanted to hit on just to be sure? Obviously, a lot of these people are going to be wondering, you keep talking about this magical supplement and what you've been doing. What is it? So
it's called Unicity.
Unicity.
Yes. And
what's the website?
We'll share the link in here. There's a link that you can go to that has all the information on it. But I always tell people, a lot of people are just, what I've learned in the past, they click on it and they don't ask any questions about it. Like I'm bad about that. I'll click on something, see the price, and I'm like, oh, I'm not, But when you click on it, if you have questions about it, reach out to me, because like me and Drew's been talking about being disciplined, you have to be coached through it, because you have to know the right and wrong ways to do it, and you have to know the tips and tricks to it too, because there's different tricks that I do when I consume it that have helped me get to where I'm at now. But yeah, and then also like the vets that are on here, thank you for everything that you've done. I always put myself in your shoes. I post videos a lot of wearing a workout vest that is in Army camo, and people ask me all the time, why do you wear that thing? Like what's up with the vest? And I was like, well, first off, weighted vests are really good for you, specifically females.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah, with like joint issues, bone density, and also like I hate running, and if I wear a weighted vest, I'm sweating 10 times more when I wear that thing versus if I'm walking without it. So, exactly. But also, every time I wear it, I imagine myself in those shoes of a veteran, because they're carrying around that much weight when they're on the battlefield, plus more, not just 20 pounds. They're probably carrying around 30, sometimes more. Just from what I've understood or read, just your helmet and your vest weigh 20 to 30 pounds. And then you're having
Then you got the 6 mags that are standard loadout. Then you got your weapon. Then you may have a sidearm. You got your medical kit. Depending on the mission and where you're going, you may have a backpack full of stuff. You got your water bladder. You may carry some MREs with you, some snacks, and heaven forbid, if you're going out on a long patrol and you may not come back tonight, you're gonna have even more ammo. Yeah. And if you're a machine gunner, now you got the big drum's 100 rounds, so you're gonna have a few of them on you. So it can get very, very heavy very quickly.
Yeah. So when I'm wearing that thing and I'm sitting here complaining, or like, I don't complain, because I'm like, you know what? There's guys and women out there that are carrying around this weight plus more mental weight and having to survive. And if I can't cut out 30 to 40 minutes of wearing this thing and doing what I need to do to help myself live a longer life for my children, then I don't need to. I mean, I'm a loser. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but it's like, if they can do it, I can do it, gosh dang it. So I'm going to wear this vest, and I'm going to think about them, and I'm going to push through this workout, and I'm going to do it. And that's what helps me. And I always think, like I said, I always think about the vets. And I know we've gone over a few things about what to talk about and, what we've discussed. And I know you have here listed what's a book that I would recommend. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of books. I've recently started listening to a bunch of books related to mental health and thinking positively and trying to train my brain to think, like I say, a normal person, because it's very hard to think positive or not have depression, not have PTSD. I mean, it's just hard. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk about it. And like me and you have talked about, a lot of people hide it and they're not
Very true.
open
Very
to talk
true.
about it with their friends or their family or their employer. So we've got to have tools to help us. So I've read all and listened to all these different books, but one book that I just love, and it's short, it's to the point, and it won't drag you on for hours. It's called The Game of Life. And
It sounds like a good one.
it's wild if you listen to it. So
like a good
it's
one.
from the 30s, and it's about this woman that, and I mean everything in it. She's telling stories of how she's told people to think and coach them through it, and it happened. Like, and I'm just sitting there driving, listening to it, and I'm just like mouth on the floor. Like, so basically, she's saying you can manifest anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you,
I believe in that.
yeah, like if you believe you're going to break your ankle and you think about it every single day, you're probably going to break it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think, you know what, one day I'm going to be a millionaire, and you wake up every day and you train yourself to think that way, you're probably going to be a millionaire. But the whole book, like I said, it's very short, but she tells all these different stories of different people that she came in contact with and what they were worried about and how she trained them to think and the ending result. And like, I've listened to it twice. So if I'm really going through a time in my life that I'm struggling, I just listen to that book because it's not long and it's a really, really cool book. And I hate that I think kids should listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think teenagers should listen to it, and I think adults should listen to it, because if everybody listened to that book and we all started training our minds to think that way, and we lost, the ego, that's another thing when it comes to the last thing I'll leave with this. The medical field now is a dumpster fire. When I say that, it's not that I'm saying that we have great nurses, we have great doctors. One of my sister-in-law is one of the smartest nurses that I know. You can ask her anything and she will spout it off right then. I mean, she's been great with my mom, helping her, taking her to her doctor visits. She's been great with my kids when they're over there. But I know that like we've reached a fine line where you're completely natural or you're completely hardcore health. And I think the problem is that my goal is that we can all just come together and learn to work together to heal everybody. Because I think that's what we need. And I think if we just continue to learn from each other and learn from what we already know, because there's been great advancements in the medical world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been life-saving devices, there's been life-saving procedures, and we all know that. But when it comes down to like my part of this and natural health is, once you've gotten past all that and you're sitting at home and you're like, you know what, I really want to get healthy and I really want to figure out how to do it naturally. That's where I come into play of trying to help somebody. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's times that I know that we'll need the medical, the hospital. There's going to always be a need for a hospital and an ambulance and all the above. You know what I mean?
Always.
So I've worked with so many great nurses and doctors, and I am so thankful, and I want to give a shout out to all those that still work in the medical industry, because it's very, very, very hard, as well as, as a veteran and law enforcement is just as hard.
Mm-hmm.
So
mental health is a very big stigma, like me and you talked about when it comes to military and law enforcement, and I'm sure anywhere else, that they're big proponents of we're here to help. There's avenues. There are avenues to help you. We're here. We care about your mental health. We know mental health is a drain. Anything to do with first responders, like you said, nurse and stuff. Depending on what part of the hospital they're in, I mean, they're going to see some pretty graphic stuff.
Yeah.
And possibly even on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
And people don't realize there's a lot of studies about this. Speaking of just law enforcement, the typical person could see anywhere from say like 1 to 4 on average of like critical life-altering events within their lifetime. A terrible car crash that saw somebody's body get mangled or something of that nature. And then you go into law enforcement, it could be in the hundreds.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
And, that's not, people don't understand as a former policeman, and, we're not robots. We're not sent to some training academy that rewires the way we think. At the end of the day, we're just normal people with an unnormal job. Yeah. So when you see that many critical life incidents, I mean, I saw so many bodies. I just got pointed. I was like, I'd be happy if I never saw another one. Yeah. And they'd have a dead body call. I'd be like, man, can anybody else go? Yeah. I said, I'd be happy if just to not go.
Yeah.
And it's just not normal. But to go back to what I was talking about, they say, hey, we're here to help. If you need help, just ask about it. But then you say something about it, and then all of a sudden you're pulled from the SWAT team. Oh, we need to watch out for that guy. He needs help.
You told me that.
Yeah. Or if you're in the military and you go to what's called PHA, physical health assessment, and you start telling them truly about mental health, trouble you're going through, boom, now you're on a mental profile. Can't handle a weapon. Can't go to the range. Can't deploy. So, yeah, you're going to get your help, but it may drastically affect your career.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to get your help?
Yeah.
Or are you going to suck it up so you can keep your job?
And that's where the mental health comes in.
And like you said, the ego, especially in the men's world, which I think it's really dumb, and I think we're getting a little bit better, but it's a long way to go. What man wants to raise their hand and say, yeah, I need help? Exactly. Not very many of them.
No.
You see all the time, even stupid memes on social media, or little videos, reels, it'll say, a man will be like, or a woman is on there, she's like, who do men call when they need help? And it'll go from, multiple different men, and they'll say, nobody cares. Yeah. As a man, you may have that one buddy that you call, but even then you're like, well, I don't want to be bothering. I don't want to bother him. So
a lot of the vets that or when I was working in medical device, I told you most of the patients I met with, I think they just wanted somebody to talk to and listen to.
Exactly.
Like, they just needed somebody to talk to because they didn't want their family to know. Like they didn't want anybody to know what they were going through.
They don't want to feel like a burden.
Yeah, and I'm from a state away. They don't know nobody. I know I don't know anybody. They know. They can tell me anything. Yep. And I think, like you said, we need to lose the ego and be more open to hey, I'm having a problem. I'm not crazy, but I just need
a little. So I know something's not right.
I just need some help. But I need help that's not a pill. I need help that is a long term and not a quick fix. And so hopefully, I think things are getting better. I'm happy that just to give a shout out to Mississippi for being medical when it comes to cannabis. There's a lot of states that don't have that, and there's a lot of states that gone that way too. So I think things are getting better, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that cannabis is a cure all, but there are tools out there that just look into it, just research it, talk to your provider about it. And like I said, if they label you or point fingers, there's plenty of providers and people out there and friends and strangers that you will meet that will help you, that are like me and you, Drew, that are here on earth just to help people, regardless of what it comes down to.
Yep. That's what I say every day, whether you become a client of mine or not. Hey, if you become a client of mine, that's great. If you don't, that's great. I'm here to help, because at the end of the day, I'm just a veteran here to help other veterans.
That's right.
That may not be the best business model in the world, but that's what I believe in. And I think if you're doing what you're truly meant to do, you're going to be very blessed doing it.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I'll say I really appreciate you coming on the show today, my first ever guest, so I'll never forget this one episode. Folks, if you're at home and you're watching this and you like this episode, please like, share, comment. Look me up on YouTube, the Veterans Veteran Podcast, as well as social media, the Veterans Veteran, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and my website is thevetsvet.com. Again, please say your name and let them know who you are and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So thank you, Drew, for having me on here. I've done one podcast before, and so I would say that was my practice round, so I feel a little more confident this time. But I really,
you've done great.
Yeah, and that it's your first one. When you told me that, I was like, all right, here we go, let's wing this. And but I appreciate you having me on here. If you want to get in contact with me, I will share my email with Drew. I'm on social media. Again, my name is Rachel Wooten. You can reach out to me by social media or email or whatever is easiest for you. And if you have any questions when it comes to the product and the protocol that I follow, or how to cook clean, what clean ingredients to use, what ideas do you have behind just getting healthy naturally, or what resources do you know about, or who can I talk to? And I'll steer you in whatever direction I need to get you the help that you need.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Veterans Veteran, and I'm here for you.